Right, well, social justice chairperson in Stellenbosch University law professor, Professor Thuli Madonsela, has urged Minister Khumbudzo Ntshavheni's detractors to put a better plan forward to solve illegal mining. She says this needs to be done lawfully without bloodshed or a prolonged siege. She joins us now for this conversation. Good evening, Prof. An absolute pleasure having you with us. You've gone on to X and shared your views and said, we need to find an alternative solution that needs to be put on the table. But just from your view, right, looking at how police are handling the matter in Stilfontein, are you in support of this approach of, as Minister Ntshavheni says, smoking them out?
Greetings, Melody, and thank you for the privilege. Also greetings to the viewers. I think we should try and really understand what the minister was saying. And what she said is not different from what Minister Senzo Mchunu said. It's a question of language, really. Smoke out simply means force somebody out. And that's all she said, that they were trying to smoke them out. And Minister Senzo Mchunu then released today a statement that's saying they've been asking the miners or the illegal miners to come out. They've made so many calls. And it seems to me what they had done initially was not to send food down, so that the only option out is to get out. But it seems that some of them did come out, and a lot of them have refused to come out, leaving the South African police services with fewer options in terms of how to get them out. We must also understand, colleagues, that some of these illegal miners are armed. So they have to be dealt with properly in terms of the rule of law, in terms of Ubuntu, in terms of our human rights requirements. But in so doing, we must also understand that SAPS members too are humans. They too have human rights. So as we try to resolve this problem, we have to balance, as the Constitutional Court said in Makwanyane, the interests of society, including the members of the South African Police Services, and the interests of the miners and their families.
You know, I'm thinking about the interest of the families here and what's at the root of this. One expert, Prof, talked about how pervasive illegal mining has become, how big of a problem that it's actually now sewn into the fabric of so many of these communities. That's why, while so many expected that the community would celebrate illegal mining being dealt with, the community is the ones that are going underground to save these people because they're part of that, of the problem. Are we reacting simply too late at this point, Prof?
Certainly, you're right that action should have been taken earlier, before illegal mining became a way of life. And in that regard, we must acknowledge that there's been regulatory failure from government side. We also have to acknowledge that people choose illegal mining because there's hunger and poverty in our continent. But in so doing, we cannot be lost to the fact that the law still needs to be enforced. It has to be enforced compassionately, but it must be enforced.
At this point, though, are we hearing the alternative solutions being put on the table? Because I'm trying to imagine what some of those are, and it seems that it's a very black and white conversation, right? If they don't want to come out, they must die there, or on the flip side, it's save their lives. Have we been creative enough in how we put a solution forward, especially because there are so many of these illegal mines and the operation will be moving around the country?
I'm not really in a position to assess whether the police have been creative enough. I've just seen enough movies to see that in situations where people who are caught up in illegality are being asked by the police to come out, it is normal practice for the police to get them to come out and also to close other ways of them coming out so that they can come out in a manner that would allow them to be arrested. It is normal. But the fact that now people are choosing to rather die than come out, it creates a complexity that then must be balanced with Ubuntu. And I'm glad to hear that the police have relented on the issue of food, that they are sending water and food down there to make sure that people do get enough strength to come out if they do want to come out. So that is compassion, that is Ubuntu. But I do think that communities should understand that policing has to be done, and the issue of zamazamas and the danger they pose to communities that are close to these mines is a real issue. And therefore, the balancing approach that Ubuntu requires us to take must be endorsed by all. And I was shocked that some people just criticized without getting the facts. And I read one political leader who I will not mention by name suddenly said, "Oh, we didn't know the facts. Now we're getting more information." I think we have to practice asking for information first before we demonize.
Yeah, an interesting point, Prof. We really do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking to us and sharing your view on the matter that is a fiery topic, to say the very least. Social Justice Chairperson in Stellenbosch University Law, Professor Thuli Madonsela, there speaking to us. All right.